Some companies lost billions of dollars, not because markets crashed, not because customers disappeared, but because they misunderstood one simple thing. The future rarely looks important when it first arrives. Today we are breaking down 10 business deals that looked smart, but failed disastrously. 1. Microsoft and Skype. In early 2011, Microsoft was searching for a way to dominate digital communication. Social media platforms were growing fast, and video calling was becoming a major part of daily life. So on May 10, 2011, Microsoft officially completed its acquisition of Skype for $8.5 billion, the largest purchase in the company's history at that time. Skype looked extremely powerful on the surface. Millions of people used it for free voice and video calls. It had global brand recognition and strong user loyalty. Microsoft imagined Skype becoming the center of communication across Windows computers, gaming consoles, and smartphones. But there was one major problem hidden behind Skype's popularity. The company was struggling to generate profit. Its technology was built on older infrastructure, and the software was extremely difficult to merge with Microsoft's internal systems. After the acquisition, Microsoft tried to expand Skype aggressively, but performance issues began appearing. Call connections became unstable. Software updates created new bugs. User experience slowly declined. At the same time, competitors were moving faster and building smoother communication platforms. Apple introduced FaceTime with tight iPhone integration. Messaging apps like WhatsApp and later Zoom offered simpler, faster solutions. Inside Microsoft, developers began creating a new workplace communication platform. That platform later became Microsoft Teams. By 2017, Microsoft replaced Skype for business with Teams. By 2021, Skype's consumer relevance had significantly declined. Although Microsoft still owned Skype, much of its original value disappeared. Analysts widely consider billions of dollars from the $8.5 billion purchase to be lost because Microsoft ended up replacing the service with its own product. 2. Chet, Google and Motorola. The smartphone wars of the early 2000s were extremely aggressive. Android was growing rapidly, but Google faced constant legal threats from competitors claiming patent violations. To protect Android, Google decided to acquire Motorola Mobility. The company owned thousands of valuable wireless technology patents. Google finalized the deal on May 22, 2012, purchasing Motorola Mobility for $12.5 billion. The patents were valuable, but Motorola itself came with serious financial problems. The company's smartphone division was already losing more than $1 billion every year when Google acquired it. Google attempted to redesign Motorola phones and relaunch the brand with new devices like the Moto X and Moto G. These phones were well reviewed but produced very small profits. Another hidden problem quickly surfaced. Google relied on manufacturers like Samsung and HTC to build Android phones. Once Google owned Motorola, these partners felt they were competing against the same company that controlled their operating system. This created tension across the Android ecosystem and reduced collaboration. Eventually, Google realized running a phone manufacturing business required completely different expertise. So in January 2014, Google sold Motorola to Lenovo for approximately $2.9 billion, while keeping most patents. The difference between the original purchase and sale price meant Google lost roughly $9 billion on the hardware side of the deal. 3. HP and autonomy. Around 2010, Hewlett-Packard faced declining profits from personal computers and printers. The company wanted to transform into a high-value software provider. Executives believed acquiring a successful enterprise software company could instantly change HP's business model. So on October 3, 2011, HP completed the acquisition of British software firm Autonomy for $11.1 billion. The price shocked investors because it was significantly higher than Autonomy's market valuation. HP believed autonomy's advanced data analysis software would lead the company into a more profitable future. However, soon after the acquisition closed, HP began reviewing autonomy's financial records in greater detail. The company discovered revenue numbers that did not match expectations. Accounting practices raised serious concerns. Profit margins appeared artificially inflated. Just over 1 year later, in November 2012, HP announced it was writing down $8.8 billion of the acquisition value, meaning most of the purchase price had effectively disappeared. The situation led to legal disputes and investigations between both companies, for Yahoo and Broadcast.com. During the internet boom of the late 1990s, companies were racing to dominate the future of online entertainment. Yahoo wanted to lead the growing video streaming industry. Broadcast.com appeared to offer exactly that opportunity. Yahoo officially acquired Broadcast.com on April 1, 1999, paying approximately $5.7 billion. The platform streamed live sports events, radio stations, and early internet video content. At the time, it attracted around 570,000 weekly users, which seemed extremely promising. But internet infrastructure was still very limited. Most households used dial-up connections. Videos loaded slowly. Streaming required expensive bandwidth. Advertising revenue from online video had not fully developed yet. Yahoo struggled to integrate Broadcast.com into its broader business operations. Growth quickly slowed. By 2002, Yahoo quietly shut down Broadcast.com entirely. The company lost nearly all of the $5.7 billion investment. Atari and Nintendo. In the early 1980s, Atari dominated the global video game industry. The company generated more than $1 billion annually and controlled the home gaming market. Meanwhile, Japanese company Nintendo was preparing to enter the United States with its new gaming system. Negotiations between the two companies nearly resulted in Atari distributing Nintendo consoles across America. But the partnership collapsed around June 1983, after disputes over licensing rights related to the game Donkey Kong. Shortly after negotiations failed, the video game market crashed. Atari's sales collapsed dramatically. Nintendo decided to launch its console independently. In 1985, Nintendo introduced the NES system, which eventually sold over 60 million units worldwide. Although no direct payment was involved, analysts estimate Atari lost a partnership opportunity worth tens of billions of dollars over time. 6. Fox and Star Wars. When George Lucas was negotiating with 20th Century Fox during the production of Star Wars, the studio believed the movie itself was the main financial opportunity. During negotiations in 1976, Lucas agreed to reduce his directing salary by roughly $150,000. In exchange, he requested merchandising rights and sequel control. Fox accepted the deal because executives believed toys and future films would not generate significant revenue. After Star Wars released in 1977, merchandise exploded globally. Toy sales alone generated hundreds of millions of dollars, eventually reaching billions over decades. The franchise later expanded into multiple sequels, television shows, and global brand licensing. Experts estimate Fox lost access to long-term revenue streams worth more than $20 billion. 7. NBC and Hulu streaming began transforming entertainment in the late 2000s. NBC owned approximately 33% of Hulu alongside Disney and other partners. In May 2019, NBC agreed to give Disney operational control and signed an agreement allowing Disney to buy NBC's stake later at a guaranteed minimum valuation. At the time, NBC believed launching its own streaming platform, Peacock, was a safer long-term strategy, but streaming demand exploded faster than expected. Hulu subscriber growth accelerated. Advertising revenue increased dramatically. By November 2023, Disney purchased NBC's remaining stake for approximately $8.6 billion. Although NBC received payment, analysts believe it lost access to long-term streaming growth potentially worth far more. 8. The Beatles and their music rights. In 1969, the music publishing company Northern Songs, which owned most Beatles song rights, was sold for approximately $1.5 million after a bidding process the band failed to win. Years later, in 1985, Michael Jackson purchased the catalog for $47.5 million, turning it into one of the most valuable music publishing collections in history. Today, the catalog has generated hundreds of millions in royalties. The Beatles were forced to pay royalties to perform many of their own songs, effectively losing long-term control of their creative work. 9. Xerox and the personal computer revolution. In 1979, Xerox researchers demonstrated revolutionary computing technology, including graphical interfaces and mouse-based navigation. The company allowed Apple engineers, including Steve Jobs, to observe the technology in exchange for early stock opportunities. Xerox leadership remained focused on copier machines and did not aggressively commercialize personal computers. Over the following decades, Apple and Microsoft built trillion-dollar industries based on similar concepts. Although Xerox did not directly lose a purchase amount, analysts consider the missed opportunity one of the most valuable technological losses in business history. 10. Disney loses Oswald. In the late 1920s, Walt Disney was still building his animation studio and struggling to survive financially. At that time, Disney's biggest success came from a cartoon character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Oswald was extremely popular. The character helped Disney secure distribution deals and kept the studio running. But there was one dangerous problem hidden inside the agreement. Disney did not actually own Oswald. The character rights were controlled by Universal Pictures through a distributor contract. Disney mainly produced the animation, but lacked legal ownership of the intellectual property. On March 4, 1928, Walt Disney traveled to New York expecting to renegotiate his contract and request a higher payment for producing Oswald cartoons. Instead, he received shocking news. The distributor informed him that Universal owned Oswald completely. The company also planned to reduce Disney's production payments. Even worse, the distributor had already secretly hired many of Disney's animators to continue making Oswald cartoons without him. In one meeting, Disney lost his main character, much of his creative team, and the core business that supported his studio. Although there was no direct purchase amount involved, Disney effectively lost control of a character that later generated massive revenue for Universal. Experts estimate that losing Oswald cost Disney long-term brand and licensing value worth billions. However, during his train journey back home after losing the deal, Walt Disney began sketching ideas for a new character. Later that same year, in November 1928, Disney introduced Mickey Mouse in the animated short film Steamboat Willie. Mickey quickly became one of the most recognizable entertainment characters in history and built the foundation of the Disney Empire.